Yo guys, welcome back to another League Racing video on the channel. Today we are here with WOR round number 2 in Barcelona, Spanish Grand Prix, soon to be replaced by the Madrid Grand Prix. But I do quite like this track, so I hope that it doesn't kick it off the calendar. I'm not actually sure how that all works out. These are the standings from last week's race. We finished P9 on track in a full wet race in Australia, my debut in this tier, and I'm very happy with that. And right now we're sat in P12 and we're going on to our best lap of the session, and you might be able to tell it's not at the end of the session. We actually, in practice, consistently got the fastest lap on our second to last run at around the 6-minute mark. But we do have some good pace coming into this race. I was looking at all the PBs in the chat, and then I was looking at my PB and I was like, okay, I've kind of got a chance at maybe a top 10 here, which is all I ask for in this tier, at least, just top 10s. But anyway, onto our flying lap. We're on the run up to turn 4. You want to take it really wide. We chuck it and we have to correct slightly just so we don't go on the grass. You've got to get on the power as soon as possible. It's such a tricky corner to get right. Into an even trickier hairpin, we managed to spot the braking zone right and get really good rotation and exit. And we're so far absolutely nailing this lap. Up here, it's such a difficult set of corners. We managed to get it right. You don't want to be on the yellow curb on the outside. Flat out through there, just barely touching the curb. Open the DRS and burn as much of the battery as you can. Brake just under the bridge at the 100-meter board. We chuck it in, we go a little bit deep, but we do manage to get on the power quite well, keeping it really tight in this last sequence of corners. Get on the power as quick as you can, keep it wide. Easy flat through here, and it's flat through the next corner. We want to hit the curb on the inside for rotation, but we just barely miss it. It's not going to cost us too much time, but up to the line, it's an 11.3, and we are in P2.
What a lap.
With one lap for everyone left to go. And I did not expect to be here at all. This is the final run. You can see we're just barely gaining on our last time in ideally the best track conditions. We chuck it in, we do hit the curb nicely, but we just don't gain much time. We cross the line only gaining 6 milliseconds, but our delta actually said we were a half a tenth down. Lumi puts in an 11.220, which I actually believed I have in that lap. Only one relevant driver left across the line, Denis Kamensky. He's up to the line and he does actually jump us. He gets into the .2s, and that is P3 in round 2 of WOR. I do not know how this happened. Not what I expected at all, especially after only just barely getting P10 last week. This is a really good sign, and I'm just so happy that I'm actually in the top 3. I'm not too sure how my race pace compares, but we're going to get into the race right about now. We're going to start on the medium compounder tyres. The hards are just so much better, and the mediums just kind of suck, so we're going to get them out the way as early as we can. Onto the grid, starting P3, it's 5 red lights, and away we go. We get a bit of wheel spin. We get a pretty bad start, actually. We're under pressure already from Vettel behind. Going to tuck into the slipstream of Lumi, who's already been jumped by Dennis into P1. Going to cover off the inside, and we do manage to get it stopped in time. Dennis up ahead runs a little bit deep, which is going to leave him under threat to Lumi, but he's actually not going to go for a move just yet, and all we can ask for in the start is that we hold on to P3. And we have, as the Vettel and AMG behind are going side by side. If they make a mistake, this could be a good chance for us to gain a bit of a gap, but they don't. They end up sorting it out. The yellow flag's further back. We lock the Riz a little bit into the hairpin. We're just trying to figure out where the tyres are at in terms of the temperature. There is always low grip on lap 1 of these races, and it's been a while since I'd done a race lap on Spain, especially going into this, because I was focusing purely on quali. But we were actually setting it pretty well, considering I've not driven a lap on these kind of tyres in probably about an hour before this race, because last week I ended up making a mistake of, or at some point, maybe not in WR, but at some point I made a mistake of doing a full race directly before quali, and I lost absolutely all my pace. I think it might have actually been WR that happened in, which is maybe why I didn't get any higher than P10. But either way, nothing had happened for the next few laps. You saw on the last lap, if you were paying attention, that I think it was Lumi ended up getting past Dennis into P1 again. But on lap 6, the very next lap, they just swapped positions again. And you can see there's actually a gap starting to form between the McLaren in P5 and P6 and the rest of the field, which is absolutely amazing. I can't stress how important it is that there is gaps in the trains in these types of close races, because one mistake could be your downfall, but if there's a bit of a buffer there, then there isn't as much of an issue. Obviously, we don't want to be making mistakes anyway, but still, it's a potential threat, which we don't actually have right now. And behind us, actually, Vettel has a moment, and he's actually dropped back a position, and that puts AMG in the top left. You can see it's just about a second away. If we push her and get a good lap in, we might actually be able to break away as a front three. But unfortunately, we are still taking it pretty safe on our tyres. Up ahead, there's a pretty late move. They're actually going side by side into turn 1. Lumi and Dennis side by side. This is a big moment for us, potentially. Still side by side. So we're going to be hurting Dennis's tyres on the inside. They're getting pushed to the inside. Lumi's closing the door. Still going side by side. And this is a really impressive battle. They're not making much contact at all. This is really fair right now. Still side by side. That was a bit dangerous. A bit of a swipe by Dennis, and then eventually Lumi ends up getting the position. And we aren't actually much closer than we were before that fight started happening, which I would have expected myself to be right up behind them, which we actually kind of are at this point. But, you know, I thought I'd be really close. Onto lap 10 now, getting really far into the stint. They're doing it again. They're going side by side. There's contact made this time. When they get through turn 2, right, they're all leaving the space just about. This is really impressive racing from the two of them. And you can also see that from AMG to Casper in the Alpine, there is about a second gap, so we have got a little bit of a gap between P4 and 5, which is nice. But if they keep battling the way they are in front, we will lose that. We're faking to the inside just to see if anything happens. That was really a nothing move. It was just really to see if Lumi would do anything about it. Going on to lap 12 now, we are about a second behind actually, but luckily the guys up ahead, side by side again. There is a bit more contact made on this one, but they're still doing it. We've seen the same thing 3 or 4 times now. There's a bit of contact through the fast exit. You want to keep it wide to avoid overheating the front left tyres, which is the worst tyre on this track, I believe. But they have actually managed to make it work. I don't even know who's overtaking who at the minute. I'm not focused on that at all. I'm just mesmerised by these battles. On to lap 13 now. We're going to see the same thing again. 5th time in 13 laps, the top two are going to go side by side. Lumi on the inside, but this time he actually makes the move very early. He doesn't actually go side by side with Dennis. They don't go side by side through the next few corners, which is, you know, a bit annoying. I was enjoying being in this position, seeing the top two go side by side. I was really happy to see that, just because every time they did, I was just like, yes, they're gonna crash. We're gonna have a good run here. But they didn't. They're actually just clean drivers. On to lap 13 now. This is where the pit window is fully opened, and we're actually going to make a decision, and we're going to go for an undercut on the top two. The last few laps, we haven't made any inroads on the top two. We haven't been in close. We've just kind of been sat in P3, not really doing anything. So we're going to make a potentially risky decision and go for a 1 lap earlier undercut. This could give us just that little bit worse tyres on the last few laps. But hopefully we can make this outlap work, and then we can make a jump and get some positions finally in this race, because we've just been in such a boring race. We haven't been close enough to the top two ever, but we also weren't slow enough to where we're fighting the guy behind. That's just really how it is on this game quite a lot, to be honest. The dirty air is so strong and the slipstream isn't strong enough to where you can't actually make many moves. I mean, the top two were doing it fine, but that's just because the guy in front didn't have DRS. And if you're watching the outlap, you can see we're not having a very good one. We're running really deep, and this is just a case of me not having driven new tyres in a while, because we've been on the pretty worn mediums for a while, and we've been driving very under the limit just to deal with them. So on these tyres, we're actually not putting the throttle down enough. We're not pushing that hard. So AMG is catching us, and this is putting the undercut at risk, and I'm realising I'm braking really early. I'm having an absolutely terrible outlap. AMG is about a 10th behind through the hairpin, and we're just really not getting the lap together at all. The top 3 have all boxed now. The guys that stayed out all that lap, they're covering us off now. And we're coming on around the final corner. We actually run it deep again. We've had a horrible outlap. This has been really bad, and I know it, and we're going to see in a second. We're coming out again behind Dennis again, and we're actually getting overtaken. AMG's going to go around the outside, a bit of contact. He's not given the space. We're actually going to switch back under, and we're going to try and run it around the outside, but we're on the slower line. So the McLaren's going to actually move past us, and that undercut attempt has actually lost us a position. And now we're running deep again, and that's going to let Vettel who's just boxed as well, try and get around the outside, and he's probably going to get traction on us here. He's around the outside and we're on the inside, which is obviously not going to give us a better exit, but we're just going to have to give up the position. And that strategy call has not worked out at all. We've just lost out on positions, and at this moment I just know that my podium chance is likely to be done with that decision, because from the lack of overtakes I was in a position to make in the first stint, we now have to make 2 overtakes just to get back to where we were, and that's not good at all. My teammate actually retires from the session, and that's a safety car, which there is a guy that stayed out, I'm pretty sure. Actually, no, I'm lying. No one stayed out. Everyone is boxed at this point, so no one's going to benefit from this safety car. And now it's just a decision of, will we box? I'm actually not sure. I see a guy up ahead box, and I save it to the last possible second, which might have actually lost us some time to anyone that doesn't box. But we are going to box for a new set of hard tyres. Again, we chose the harder allocations just so we can have this opportunity. And we're going to have to see how many people stay out, because there is only like 3 people behind us of box. And you can see the Aston and the Haas, they're actually going to overtake us. And we've already been overtaken by a kick, and we're coming out the pits, and we are just in a realistic P9. And I'm seeing this and I'm thinking, oh no, I've made a big mistake by not staying out there, because I'm just seeing now 3 cars ahead of us have stayed out, and one of them ahead of us is in a prime position to make moves and then end up gapping us if we get stuck behind any of those cars that stayed out. And the safety car's in on lap 19. We're going to have 14 laps to the end. Our tyres should be completely fine compared to the people that have stayed out, but it's really just going to be about how quickly we can dispatch these cars. And we get a pretty poor getaway, to be honest, and we now need to absolutely burn our battery, which we were going to do anyway, but now we just really need to hope the Ferrari behind Marco doesn't actually end up making a move on us, because right now he's got worse tyres than us. But in the straight line it doesn't matter, but we do manage to defend the inside. We get it done. Up ahead, the guys that have stayed out, those 3 that are losing the train in front, they're all the guys that stayed out. And this is not a good thing for us if we instantly lose the top train. Then our chance for a podium is definitely out the question. Up ahead, fake TB goes wide. AMG is going to go for a move, and this is the issue I was talking about with AMG making moves and us not being able to follow him. Because if he makes these moves, we have a massive snap, as behind there's actually someone going off. But if we can't make these moves and he does, then we're in a horrible position. But there is actually a big moment. They get side by sides. We end up hitting AMG on the way past, and we get the move. We get a free position, which is crucial for us, as we would have probably lost AMG in this fight on track if he had made that move. He ended up having an issue after that. I think he actually got a broken wing from that incident, and he is at the back of the grid now. I believe he actually went and retired, which is unlucky for him. He was on for a good result. Anyway, cutting ahead 6 laps, fake TB. We're going to go to the inside, try and brake. We go a little bit deep. There's a contact, but we have to back out of it, because we ran so deep. We were going to get spun round if we did not slow down as much as we did. We were going to get spun right around, but on the back right tyre of the fake TB. As up ahead, the cars are going side by side again, which is good for us, but this is really not a great situation right now. Up ahead, going side by side, the kick's been spun round, and the Haas makes contact, and we've just gotten the freest double position ever. The Aston Martin is spun around the kick,
there's no way.
And then the car we were struggling to overtake has just made contact. We're going to see it again here. The kick gets spun, he doesn't ghost, and TB has got nothing he can do, and he just goes into the kick.
It's brilliant.
And we just gained 2 positions we were really going to have to work for to get in this race. And we do actually stay in the DRS of Kurumi. And for the next 6 laps, we're on to the second last lap of the race. Nothing happened after that. We've just been sat in Kurumi's DRS. We haven't been able to make a move. And this is where the tyre difference is starting to show. Up into the hairpin, we're going to kind of fake it. We're actually not going to fake it. He runs a little bit deep. I'm actually thinking of another move we made back with Lumi. Didn't actually fake the one on this lap, however. We're saving it to the last lap. And that's a risky thing to do on this game, because we've seen by this race alone, just by the amount of cuts we've done, we've jumped about 6 laps at a time, multiple times, just because of how little overtaking there actually is on this track and on this game. So we're leaving it to the last lap, but there is absolutely no guarantee that we're going to get this guy. We have completely lost the top 4. They've gapped us by 6 seconds, but by my strategy call, I didn't expect to be up with them anymore. I was hoping more people would box, and then we'd have a free run at them, but we don't. And on to the last lap, we have the worst final corner you will ever see. That's really not good for us. We're going to burn as much as we can, but we've just lost so much time doing that. And maybe if we didn't make that mistake, we would have been able to have a run at him into turn 1. We haven't right now, and there's really only 1 or 2 overtaking opportunities left. One is coming up, but we're not going to be close enough. We're going to save the battery, but we're not going to save the battery. We're going to actually try and force him into a mistake. We're going to try and stick close, and the next overtaking opportunity is into the really difficult braking zone hairpin. We were trying to line up, we fake it to the inside, we go, we don't actually commit, he runs really deep, and we just take a free position. We have a rear exit, and he spins around. I'm not sure what happened there, and I couldn't get his POV, but he did actually just lose the car completely by himself. And you can hear me saying, I don't know what happened there. We're going to replay it. You can see we just took the open gap, and we don't make contact. He is behind us. We spin the rear of the car, and I think that might have put him off. And he does end up spinning around, which gives us a free P5 in the end, which is absolutely huge. And we're coming around the final few corners. We're not under threat by anyone behind. Kraken has dropped back. He chose the wrong tyres under the safety car. His tyres are going to be on puncture territory at this point. But we have a little actual moment. On the final traction zone of the circuit, Lumi crosses the line to win. They're so far ahead of us, but we're going to finish in P5.
Let's go.
And that is absolutely huge.
I know I could have had a podium. I take that. I will take that.
I'm so happy with that result, because I didn't even expect to be up in P3 at all in this race. I was expecting maybe a P8. But apparently Spain's one of my good tracks on this game. So I am incredibly happy with that. These are the final results. Lumi crosses the line in P1, beating out Dennis Kamensky. And Casper, not even going to say his, just Casper, we're not going to say his last name. Casper comes from 11th and finishes on the podium. He had really good pace outside of qualifying. Vettel finishes P4, and even though we were fighting all these people, it's unlucky that we weren't up there in the end, but it is my own fault. Didn't have the pace to overtake, didn't have the pace with the bad strategy call. I was not on it today. It is Belgium next week, and we have just done a PSGL round there, so I'm already pretty warm for it. I felt alright. We're going to have to put in some more practice. Obviously, we're going to practice. WR is harder than PSGL. These are the standings after the race. I don't actually know where we are looking at this recording, because the standings hadn't been put out yet. So we are where we are. Hopefully we're in the top 6 or 7. But either way, that has been me for WR round number 2. If you want to see more League Racing videos, remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.